I have an example I'm going to chat you through. I'm not sure if all of you saw the article that was published. I think it was 2 days ago in SBJ. I think Chris Smith wrote the article about Drone Racing League and the tech setters fan base. And this leads to a bit of the elusiveness of the Gen Z sports fan base and really the opportunity that's at hand for DRL. I mean, DRL is sitting on a bit of a gold mine in terms of this fan base. And while small in numbers today, they are absolutely mighty in potential, and they're really taking the world by storm. So I wanted to share with you a bit of the work that we did for them. And this is actually from an investor presentation that I sat in on with their board of directors and shared with them really where they're landing with this audience and the potential that's there. So just really quick here, a combination of Nielsen Scarborough, us looking at unlock behaviors and passion points, as well as they have a lot of owned information. We saw this is obviously a really young fan base, but one that is skewing ahead in terms of overall income tied with NHL, but high earners. And we know from other attributes, those that have so much more potential are still young in their careers. So a lot of great things to start with, and obviously an audience base that as a brand looking for a lifetime consumer, an advocate for their brand is very desirable. And they're elusive. I keep using that term, which is probably becoming a little bit overused, but what's interesting about this and what's interesting about DRL then is they become a really nice complement to a business's portfolio in trying to reach this fan base. These folks do not, 70% of them don't engage with the big five and engage in a very traditional fashion. They may look at things from a very casual standpoint or more as an onlooker versus an avid fan, but they're not actively involved here as they are in other places. They do love aspects of sports though, but the way that the big five are presented is not necessarily appealing to them. So they're interested in motorsports. And as we dug a little bit deeper, they're interested in things that are fast. They're interested in competition. They love racing. They love the technical aspects of something like racing and even with drones, but almost the science behind how it happens. And that makes them, again, looking forward, thinking about innovation and really being kind of in a tech forward space, which when you think about connecting with fans, DRL definitely has a jump on that versus a very traditional league that has a lot of investment in kind of hard, great big assets. Not that they're not working hard, but this is just a unique aspect of making sure you know who your fan base is and how to find them and get to them. Through Unlock, we were able to really understand their interest in motorsports, following of them, participating in conversation, and we followed that up with the custom survey. And so other valuable interests for the sponsor, I already talked about them being tech savvy. They're gamers. That's part of the speed, the action being a part of it. And if you think about the simulated drone races, for those of you who might be familiar, and if you haven't, take a look. It's actually kind of beautiful to watch. The gaming overlap makes total sense. Lots and lots of betting enthusiasts. Seems like they have a little bit of money that they're fine betting with, but lots of opportunity there from a partnership perspective. And then content creators, which Gen Z tend to be content creators overall. But if you think about that from an advocacy standpoint, this is a fan base that you want talking about your stuff. Thing here with respect to us being able to identify this through Unlock with respect to how these fans are carrying out their lives and where they're spending time disproportionately to Gen Pop. So betting enthusiasts, I talked about this, you know, if over half are interested in placing bets, that alone is a tremendous opportunity. Anything over the halfway mark and you have kind of one step for the rest is a big opportunity. And then really looking at a fantasy offering, you know, that's ongoing engagement. And I think you all probably have heard, there are plenty of case studies out there over the last 25 years, fantasy development across all of the major leagues really upped fan avidity, as well as within that actually upped involvement in avidity for women, which isn't always thought of as something that seems obvious, but is a really good thing. And this is a very male dominated sport. So hopefully it brings some women along with it in the process. So content creators, right? So identify as creators and influencers. This was a really interesting thing for us to be able to triangulate through the way that they carry out their lives on social, as well as some of the claimed behaviors and how they like to influence others and share content. And this is where, you can start to put the pieces together and talk about them being kind of trendsetters. We called them tech setters in the article, but they're trendsetters. They're tip of the spear, telling their friends about what's new and interesting, and really spending time living, learning, and being very curious about the world. And you can see that in the travel numbers, as well as they consider themselves to be inventive and curious. And they're showing up that way. And that's one of the great parts about Unlock, is we're able to get at that through the way that they're carrying themselves in the social space versus it just being a stated behavior. We have the chance to kind of prove it out through who they're following, how they're engaging, and again, how they're kind of living out their lives. So with this in mind, just wanted to show you that with that scale and depth of understanding that we have through this platform and our partnership with Zoomph, we're really able to give a partner like DRL this type of rich understanding of their fan base of today. And then we start plotting out their future opportunity for growth and the value that they can bring their partners as they sell against this fan base with respect to building out that partner portfolio.
In terms of what we do from a platform standpoint, part of the Zoomph platform is built on harnessing live data. So this is a esports example where there's a post on Twitter where we can harness, real-time metrics that show the impact of a specific video that's shared on Twitter. But we can also leverage our cognitive vision API AI to derive partner exposures like Totino's or Chipotle or Cash App as brands that are being placed in a broadcast that might have happened on Twitch that is being now shared on Twitter. We can also do it live on Twitch as well. But the key part of what we're doing is assessing the quantitative impact of social and live streaming, and then leveraging rich audience data to derive insights around demographics, things like brand affinities of the engaged or activated fan base. And we can also leverage sentiment analysis as well to see the reactive emotions that happen around key sporting moments. Some examples of situations where Zoomph might be leveraged. Think of some breath-catching sports moments like what happened in NBA this year with Steph Curry nailing the 62-point when he made the shot for 62-point. The key thing to keep in mind here is when he made that shot, Rakuten was saturated in the arena. You can see Rakuten on the virtual fan signage on the LED board, behind, as well as LED board on the stanchion and on the pole pad as well. So like a key moment like that, which got 2.8 million views on Twitter alone, and then forget about other social platforms, creates a massive pivotal moment for the placement of Rakuten, and also then exploiting that for understanding what is the reach of this moment, but also what is the impacted audience or the activated audience that happened during this instant. Likewise, the Minnesota Timberwolves, when you had the dunk from Anthony Edwards, here you have the tarps with the Tribune and TCL and Michelob Ultra also placed as brands. Using our AI technology, we are able to pick up this moment, pick up the social metrics and KPIs that happen during this moment, but are also able to do a deep dive into the activated audience and provide that level of insight back to teams or brands invested in this point. Some other examples of opportunities where Zoomph could be leveraged would be, NASCAR took a groundbreaking decision in June of last year with the ban on the Confederate flag in NASCAR races. And they've sort of defined essentially the NASCAR 1.0 audience as pre-ban and the 2.0 audience as post-ban. And taking that inflection point, it was obviously with such a monumental decision that they were taking, keeping a pulse on their fan base is a critical part of an organization as large as NASCAR. So tracking sentiment of different cohorts, but also understanding the engaged social audience. And interestingly, seeing a shift where post-ban, there's been a lift in engagement from women fans, and also a drop in the age of the engaged fan base. So it's a lift in the millennial population compared to NASCAR 1.0. And also, interestingly, activating an audience from a fan base who would self-describe themselves as liberal, which is a massive shift from the 1.0. So the key thing is, like a pivotal point like that has, while it definitely has alienated part of their fan base, it has also activated a new group of NASCAR fans who are now following and engaging with the league in a very active way.